Horizon Chance Reacts, and this is Heroes of Might and Magic 5 review. Available in 221 countries, trademarked by the channel ssethtzeentach. Last good entry to a legendary series, now without region blocking. Courtesy of 4K Media Inc. Konami? Region blocking? Okay. Yeah, another Heroes of Might and Magic thing. All this series has been incredible. I guess all the games are so good that Seths are reviewing it, every single one of them. So yeah, I guess it's gonna be incredible too. So it's gonna be fun. Remember, if you like my reaction, don't forget to like and subscribe so I know which type of videos to react to more. Check out the reaction, there's a link in the description. Check out the cards and cards. Yeah, let's watch it.
Hey people, Seth here. Today, I'll be covering a game from a series that's very special to me. But much like the nice girl you knew back in high school, she eventually went broke, destitute, and sold herself off to the French. And now, you barely recognize her. I'm talking about Heroes of Might and Magic 5, released in 2006 by Ubisoft. So, what happened? How did we get here? Well, Fredio, who had the license for Might and Magic, went bankrupt. So, Ubisoft bought the license, gave it to Naval, a sweatshop developer located in the Siberian gulags, and asked them to make a game as quickly as possible with no regard for human life. And since Slavs are trained from birth to play Heroes 3 on a competitive level, the developers were a good choice for developing a successor to the series. Unfortunately, the demands of a sweatshop took their toll, and by the end of it, most of the development staff were either dead or missing. The lead
Alright, wait a minute. Okay, Ubisoft only gives the titles to their own developers, don't they? Do they branch out like that? Or are these developers are part of Ubisoft? I highly doubt that.
Programmer got mauled by a bear while picking berries in the forest. Two of the artistic leads fell down a well and kept falling, and the designer got kidnapped by a gargoyle. Now, I know what you're thinking, and yes, this is entirely true. I even wrote an entire wiki article to prove it. Despite such hardships, Naval...
That's how you do it? That's how you tell alternative fact?
did manage to make a beautiful and pretty interesting game. Let's begin. Story. Heroes 5 takes place in the world of Ashan, which has no connection to Heroes 3, 4, or the rest of the Might and Magic franchise, because we get a much more interesting and non-generic setting instead. Here's a quick rundown of this compelling story. Ashan is under attack by demons. Your husband, the king, is killed by demons. You are now queen. You resurrect your dead husband. Then you kill your undead husband. You get kidnapped by demons. Then everyone kills the demons. And everyone lives happily ever after in the pony kingdom of Equestria. Friendship is magic. You might think I'm lying about that last part. Guess what? I'm not. What an engaging, engrossing plot. But what would you...
Wait a minute. Is it really changing Wikipedia pages like that? That's the best thing, isn't it? Look at that. I have to, I have this proof right here, Wikipedia page. How'd that get there? I wrote it.
From the lead writer of such prestigious titles such as My Horse and Me 2 and the celebrated cult classic Horses. Thank you, Jeff Spock. Thank you for your service to humanity. You know what? I'm gonna quickly rewrite the story of Heroes 5 into something much more coherent. Originally, there was a joke here. I thought it was funny enough to justify getting demonetized by 4Kids. Most people would stop there, take my money, and go home. But in their infinite wisdom, 4K Media Incorporated, which by the way is owned by Konami, decided to block the video in several small countries. Now, this won't affect most of the audience, since most of our views come from Afghanistan, but it felt unfair to the 5 or 6 people who might be watching from Africa, America, Europe, or the Middle East, which really are just tiny continents in comparison. I have only respect and admiration for the Galaxy Brain decision to not only copyright claim my video so you can make money off it, but to also block my video so you can't make any money off it. Dear 4K Media Incorporated, I'm not even mad. I'm just very confused.
Your video can be played outside of these countries. Okay. Oh, look at that, India, so I can see it, apparently.
Shout out to my boys in Pyongyang who can still see this video in 2020. Gameplay. Everything is turn-based. Pick a map, pick a faction, pick a hero, and play. Unlike Heroes 3, your heroes can now attack monsters directly, but unlike...
Wait a minute. But the people who copyright claimed this video, right? Was there anything, there was any content about them in this video, or they just did it? Because somebody made a mistake, system made a mistake or something. Because who was it? Was it John Tron who was saying that? I think it was John Tron, right? That even if you know that there is nothing here that is, fair for copyright claim, people don't refute that because there's a chance that, person can just reply back that, no, this is our content that you took, and then you might get a strike or something. So people basically just like what Seth did here, or re-upload it like this or something. That's just fucked up, man. Because I'm pretty sure the game is not from them, right? And there is no content here from them, so how can they copyright claim this video?
Like Heroes 4, they can't be murdered on the battlefield, and they get a crazy, over-the-top skill wheel progression system as they level up, which is never explained inside the game, and you have to use third-party fan software to even know the existence of such a thing. Oh yeah, and you no longer have to micromanage every single neutral dwelling in town. You can now send caravans to the town of your choice, and just pick up your troops later. It's very self-explanatory. There's 8 different factions to play, 6 in the base game, plus Fortress and Stronghold from the expansions. Everybody gets a massively scaled town, which spits out units for them each week. Every town also gets an amazing orchestral theme song, except Stronghold. Each time I reinstall the game, I have to realize this all over again. Stronghold's music sounds like some royalty-free ambient background noise. It sounds like elevator music in a fantasy-themed 2-star hotel. So each time I have to go into my music folders and replace it with something more appropriate.
Ram Ranch, it rocks. Cowboys love big herd Slavic cocks.
As you may have noticed, the town camera pans around on its own. It's actually one of my favorite things in this game, especially since the camera tracking syncs up with the music, but I'll show that off at the end. Every faction gets 7 units from Tier 1 to Tier 7, all of which can be upgraded. Tribes of the East adds side grades too, which means there's now 2 upgrades to choose from. Most of these range from interesting to what flavor of energy drink do you want your units to look like. Let's talk about the factions. Haven. These are the humans. They're very standard, very European, and generally quite solid. Some might think the strongest unit in the Haven arsenal is the Angel. However, that's completely fucking wrong. Yes, a celestial being sent to enact the will of God is pretty good, but can she pay taxes? I don't think so. No, the strongest unit under Haven's direct command.
Said the accountant. I didn't see that coming. That was so fucking awesome. Yes, an angel sent from God. It's pretty good. And I'm like, I was expecting like, who is he gonna talk about? But yeah, can she pay taxes? I'm like, yeah, okay.
Is the humble peasant. The real heroes of might and magic are taxpayers. They contribute their monthly wages to provide you with security, social services, and of course, roads. Without peasants, we wouldn't have much of a country. Yes, it's only 1 gold per peasant per day, but if you let them survive plague, famines, and high infant mortality rates, you'll win the game economically. Because wars aren't decided by swords, they're decided by whoever has the most money, and that's a fact. God bless the unwashed masses for sustaining the military-industrial complex of the Griffin Empire. Stronghold. They've got orcs, centaurs, wyverns, and women. They also get a cyclops, eventually. Unfortunately, they also have goblins. I have mixed feelings about these little shits. To help you understand, let me read you one of their abilities, Treachery. When the number of these creatures falls below 30% of their original numbers, they change sides. Luckily, the rest of the faction more or less acknowledges that goblins are...
What the fuck? Wait a minute. So in this game, the feature is that if you have goblins with you, right? If 30% of the number drops, then, drops to 30%. That's it. They're going to go to the opposite side now. I mean, I don't know what to think of that. I don't know if I like that or not, because that's a surprising element, right? Like, okay, I'm gonna play with goblins, but okay, be careful, because after certain type of fight, like, wait a minute, where's my goblin? Ah, fuck me, they're against me.
subhuman trash, which is great since you can sacrifice them directly to your shaman girls, use them as a tasty snack, or even as improvised living ammunition for your cyclops. It's an okay faction, a bit barren, and of course their music is terrible, but that's okay because I replaced all the Stronghold music.
Yes, 28 U.S. Marines pulling up in black Ford Raptor trucks, helicopters landed. Ram Ranch is under siege, under lockdown. U.S. Marines are gonna fuck Ram Ranch cowboy butts.
Much more immersive, I think you'll agree. Academy are the wizards.
I like whenever somebody literally overhauls something like that. I remember playing GTA 5. I don't know, they don't let they don't let you mod GTA 5 anymore, right? With the newer patches or something. I haven't checked. But when I was playing it GTA 5 on PC, you could mod it. So I literally swapped out every single cars with the real world cars. All the mods were about real cars, and I even tweaked all the settings because obviously I'm a car guy and certain cars didn't feel right. So I even tweaked everything that it resembles like real world type, right? Suspension and everything. And I remember having that copy. Then I don't know, something like some kind of a virus or something destroyed certain files, and it just got destroyed. Otherwise I kept it as it was like 90 GB or something folder. I kept it like I'm not going to install it ever. I'm just going to copy paste this shit. But that was incredible. I even swapped out certain music. It was awesome.
Their city is essentially just Dubai, except in the sky, floating at an altitude just high enough to be legally recognized as an independent state. As such, academies are regarded as offshore tax havens. What do they do with all this money? Well, they do what everyone with infinite power and knowledge of the arcane does. They summon catgirls and construct tin cans to murder anybody they don't like. They're great to play, and they've got amazing visuals. It's like a fusion of Indian and Arabic aesthetics. I love it. Sylvans are furries, sodomites, and probably zoophiles. Critics are rather divided on this town. On the one hand, it's objectively the best choice to upgrade your Applejackson to Fluttershy, yet many might be blindsided by Princess Celestia's better synergy with light magic. Personally, I don't care. They do have really nice music though. Dungeon are furries, sodomites, and definitely zoophiles. If you like femdom, BDSM, or matriarchy, you'll feel right at home in the dungeon. They're fun to play. My only criticism is that it's kind of hard to tell if your units are upgraded or not, since the only difference between a normal Dark Elf and the upgraded version is whether or not they have this Queen of Spades tattoo on their backside. I don't know what that's about. Necropolis gets skeletons, spelly skellies, and big bone skellies. I don't know if it's intentional or not, but each time I play Necropolis, I do get a very strong, inexplicable craving to consume monster energy. As expected, they can raise the dead. Originally, after sitting around in their castle and smacking the end turn button for a few months, Necropolis would automatically win. Of course, this was incredibly...
Yeah, Necropolis, I don't know why, that place looks kind of cold in a way, kind of, evil type of thing, all the green and black, but yeah, monster energy, sure.
Fun. And since the heroes community hates fun, it was nerfed into the ground. You now need gamer juice to raise the dead, a limited resource that only replenishes at the start of each week. Fortress is the manlet faction, which might not sound very intimidating, but they also get runes, which allow the dwarves to, among other things, cover the entire length of the battlefield, resurrect their dead stacks, and temporarily become a ghost. If that wasn't enough, 3 of their strongest units might also be completely immune to Armageddon. And based off what you've just heard, yes, they are incredibly balanced.
What? Wasn't the Armageddon in the previous games or the kind of like the OP nuke option? So they can't even survive that. Holy shit.
Inferno can do this. They can also do this. They're red, they're demons, they can summon more demons. They all look the same and they're extremely boring to play. But wait, that's not all. This is a good time to mention that every faction gets a special, racially exclusive ability. Academy gets body modification. Sylvans are good at poaching. Dungeon benefits from bestiality. Dwarves get runes. Stronghold gets angry. Haven can turn living units into better units. Necropolis can turn living units into undead units. But Inferno has the most powerful and strategically significant of all. Inferno can turn living units into dead units. Now that is amazing design. So while other brainlet factions are focused on pressing the advantage, adapting to the enemy, and increasing their forces, the Galaxy Brain Inferno player spends all of his money on troops only to sacrifice them so he can level up once or twice. His objective completed, his goals met. He hits Alt F4 and ejects himself from the multiplayer match. And that's why Inferno is the most powerful faction, because its players can't be reasoned with. They're nihilists with motives above human understanding.
Wait a minute, so you kill off your own squad just so you could maybe get a level up? How is that justified? How can you play that like, look at that, all those people have this kind of traits, draws can have runes and shit. The draws can actually become fucking invincible, right? They're a higher tier. And now, what I'm gonna do? Oh, I'm gonna sacrifice my fucking team.
Combat plays out like the previous titles, except there are some changes. 1. Everyone has gained weight since Heroes 3 and 4. The battlefield is no longer hexagonal. It is now quadragonal. Yes, everything and everyone is a square now. It's easier to body block, but it's also easier to get completely blocked out of a fight, depending on the unfortunate geometry of twigs and small stones in your path. 2. There's now 2 things that determine how quickly you move: speed and initiative. Speed is how far your units can move. Initiative is how quickly they decide to do something. 3. I have no idea what they did with the spells. Sure, there's destructive magic, which still includes the classic nuclear option, and there's vampirism, which, by the way, is really funny to put in a vampire. But what about the rest? Haste doesn't actually make you quicker. Slow doesn't actually make you slow. They just make you act quicker or slower, respectively. Hello? What happened to my goddamn magic? But I'm willing to forgive all that, because Heroes 5 added the best goddamn spell in the game. Probably.
Wait a minute, so you can't do magic in this game?
The best spell in the entire Heroes series, Summon Beehive. I love this spell so much, I even made my own campaign around it. It's called Beekeeper. It's a piece of shit, don't actually play it. If you kill the last monster, you win the game, but I made it so that about 1,000 text boxes will pop up when you do, which consist of the entire B-movie script. Multiplayer. Multiplayer is dead. Ubisoft doesn't maintain anything, but you can still use Virtual LAN to play with friends. There's simultaneous turns to make normal games faster, and a dual option for instant combat. So, most of the time, you're going to be up against the AI, which is AI in name alone. Computer players may be artificial, but they're definitely not intelligent. But that doesn't mean they don't have chess master level programming behind them. The AI takes about 10 seconds of raw processing power each turn to carry out their master plan of leaving their base undefended when your army is right at their doorstep. This only gets worse with more AI, because each one must independently take 10 seconds of your lifespan to calculate their next move. It actually got so ridiculous that I had to use Cheat Engine to speed hack the game about 5-6 times. What a convoluted solution, Seth. Why didn't you just Alt-Tab and do something else? Well, because Alt-Tabbing makes this game freeze. That's right, Heroes 5 pauses itself so you don't have to miss a second of watching that turn timer fill up. For that reason, I recommend trying Heroes 5.5, a mod that drastically rewrites the AI to be more intelligent and to take turns lightning fast. By the way, the base game hates my graphics card, so if your game looks like this, then I also recommend Heroes 5.5. Finally, there's a map editor included with this game. You can make some pretty good maps with it. Mainly, however, I use it to make trash like this. Final score. I've received a lot of feedback that my review score.
Yeah, but that taking turn thing, isn't that all turn-based game have that kind of thing, or it's never that slow? Huh. I don't know, it could have been something like a, game engine limitation. I know you can mod it, but that might make it unstable certain times, who knows. But modders are just incredible, man, seriously. I mean, I don't know when modders thing became way too big. I think, with the Bethesda games, BGS games, it became way bigger with Elder Scrolls and Fallout. Obviously, modders existed before then, but yeah, obviously the community of Skyrim, Fallout 3, 4, the mods are way too much there. But yeah, there are also many stalker mods too. So mods always fixes some small shit here and there. So somebody likes a game, but there are quirks to it, like, fuck it, I'm gonna solve it myself.
Are poorly defined and hardly objective. Let's fix that up right now. The final score will be composed of a single industry standard metric by which all games are professionally judged: the main menu. I'm going to be assessing these per expansion. Base game, very solid, very cool anime fight sequence, 10 out of 10. Hammers of Fate, just some dark elves trying and failing to illegally cross the border, 5 out of 10. Tribes of the East, an amazing high impact sequence where a Cyclops lays siege to a castle, whacking and smacking every human in his path. But just then, a crossbowman bravely runs out and shoots the Cyclops. Now, I'm gonna ask the audience, what do you think he does next? Logically, there's only 2 options. He can A, chill at the back, reload, and take a second shot in relative safety. Or B, he can charge the Cyclops with a butter knife. If you voted B, good news, you're correct. Our brave warrior follows the most reasonable
He's like, you came to the wrong alley, my friend, and stabs him.
Course of action and charges the Cyclops. Let's see how well he does. He didn't fly so good. 0
Wait a second.
out of 10.
Oh, that scene was incredible. I don't know why he gave 0 out of 10. I would have got 100 out of 10. That was incredible. I love how all the expression of that guy too. Look at that.
Reasonable
Look at
course
this.
of action. B, good news. You're correct. Our brave warrior follows the most
I like how he just looks me and what should I do now?
reasonable course of action
Oh, I'm gonna stab
and
him.
charges the Cyclops. Let's see how well he does. He didn't fly so good. 0 out of 10. Based on these scores, I conclusively give Heroes 5 a out of 10. Heroes
Yep.
5 is a fantastic addition to the series, and probably the last good game it will ever have, since I'm fully convinced that Heroes 6 and 7 don't actually exist. I'm just having a bad dream, one that I can't seem to wake up from. The big question is it as good as Heroes 3? Probably not, but it's a solid game in its own right and does justice to the source material. And if you don't believe me, believe the genuine words of other reviewers, such as Stephanie here,
Genuine.
who wrote, "Love, 5 stars. My neighbor's mother-in-law makes $61 every hour on the internet. She has been without a job for 7 months, but last month her pay was
That's a genuine.
$14,324 just working on the internet for a few hours. Read this post here. Equal, and GT semicolon, who are definitely real people and not spam bots trying to take your money. I recommend buying the whole collection on GOG, since unlike the Uplay copy, it comes with a full soundtrack and no DRM. Plus, it ensures that less of your money is going towards Ubisoft, who massacred my favorite series, turned it into someone's deviant art gallery, and turned me into a bitter shell of my former self. As always, more content to come next.
All right, I don't get it, Ubisoft. I mean, look, Ubisoft, Ubisoft is greedy and everything. I understand all that, all right, all the things that obviously. But Ubisoft can be smart sometimes when they want to make money off a good game, I guess. Right, they are not, that level of idiot that they're just going to destroy something promising. I mean, they made Assassin's Creed Origins, Odyssey. In Odyssey, they put way too much effort into it, right? Introduced so many updates into it. They didn't have to do that shit, right? EA wouldn't have done that. So Ubisoft might be many things, but they know how to make a profit when they see a promise in it. And Heroes of Might and Magic 3 is such a famous one. So why wouldn't they just see like, okay, let's try to make another one of the games like that, rather than just destroy and water down the whole series. So I don't get it why they did that. Maybe they didn't care about that. They had other projects going on. They just bought this IP for next to nothing, and they just don't care. Maybe that's the case. I don't know. If they can make something close to 3, I'm sure people would buy it, right?
Next year, we're done for now, but not entirely. Earlier, I concluded my streaming contract with DLive, and as a man of my word, I went back to the merchants and asked them to vote on what kind of smut would you like commissioned. Our budget, about $1,200. Here are the results of democracy. You can find them on my site and spread across the less reputable dens of evil. A warm thanks to the many.
Alright. Alright, that was Heroes of Might and Magic 5. I don't know, all the Heroes of Might and Magic, I think I've seen all the reviews, or maybe I missed some of them from ssethtzeentach. I don't know about Heroes of Might and Magic, but something about them is really good. The different type of whatever they call houses or whatever, the different styles, dwarves and everything is fun. The necromancers and things, right? Every game is kind of different, but the setup is kind of the same. Right, the combat and everything is kind of promising. But yeah, the third one was great, and I think fourth or second one was also good, compared to this. But yeah, all of them has a certain type of feel to it. So yeah. Alright people, if you like my reaction, don't forget to like and subscribe. Check out the reaction, there's a link in the description. Check out the cards, and yeah, I'll see you next time.